Hi, everyone. It's Norman Kochnick here with Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. Now we're calling it, of course, Eyes on Sports, as I hope to cover a lot more than cricket. We're obviously looking at the tennis. Well, Roland Garros is happening currently in Paris. We're followed by Wimbledon, not very far away, leading into tournaments such as the US Open. The US Open golf is about to start. We also have a lot of boxing going on. Cricket front and center with the World Test Championship. Soccer in England. Obviously, we've heard the news that Lionel Messi will be joining a Galaxy team in LA Galaxy, I believe, or is it Miami? I'm not sure now. But I think the deal is around $1.9 billion. Let me repeat that. Lionel Messi is joining an American club. I think it's the Galaxy, and they are at $1.9 billion, and I believe that's just for 1 year. It's just staggering. Imagine paying someone $1.9 billion to play soccer for 1 year. Well, MS Dhoni, Kohli, Tendulkar all put together wouldn't match that, but they're doing well anyway. They didn't do as well as they should have on the first day's play. Day one, of course, the World Test Championship of 2023, the final, the true form of the championship between India and Australia has commenced. And Australia overnight, after 85 overs, so not a full 90, a 3 for 327. Hello, Munchie. Morning. Messi joined Inter Miami. Sorry, I'll be getting a correction. Munchie's telling me I thought it was Galaxy. So Munchie's giving me a wind up there, which is good. He's telling me that Lionel Messi's actually getting $1.9 billion from Inter Miami. I thought it was Galaxy. My mistake. Inter Miami, they ought to find some money from that. A lot of sponsorship that's come out of that. Can't believe India won the toss and fielded. Munchie's just made a comment. Munchie, you want to come online? You let me know if you, Munchie, you want to come on and be a part of the show. David Graveney's joining soon. A partner's joining today. Are you wanting to come on? Munchie, let me know. Couple Verma, Australia usual, and are expected in letting go of the match after getting the early wickets. Well, they bowled well in India early on. A lot of swing from Shami and Siraj. Excuse me. And the help. Even Ushadov looked pretty good. Shardul Thakur also looked good. But Australia really fought hard. Both Warner and to an extent Labuschagne fended off that early swing bowling and then allowed both Smith and Travis Head to really catch him. I'm listening mode this morning, Nor, catching up after my trip in Germany. So, Munchie, Marcus Lawrence, one of our biggest supporters. In fact, he's also a guest host very often as well. Usman Kadir has started a live video. That's interesting. What's he talking about? Usman Kadir must be someone in Pakistan. All right. So, the reality is that Australia are really in the box seat in this test match with a lead of 3 for 327. Our Earth is Best is also saying that, Munchie. The reality is this is a great start by Australia. Travis said, I keep knocking him. You keep hearing me knock him. In particular, about him opening the batting for Australia, but he's proven to me where he needs to be in the order, the middle order, 146 not out. They're saying he's Adam Gilchrist-like. I think that's a stretch. Munchie's saying the weather has been dry here for a few days. Batting would have been the call. Yes, that's true, Munchie. It was overcast. It was a green top. That's why they did end up winning the toss India and bowling first. But you always bat first. That's my opinion. And Australia have been able to manufacture that lead very well. The reality is Kapil Verma's here. India not playing Ashwin is the same as Aussies not playing Shane Warne. Kapil Verma, I totally and utterly agree with you. I think he would have been vital in this match and could have really not only held up an end but taken wickets. Jadeja's tried hard, but yes, Ashwin, the leading bowler in the world, leading spin bowler in the world, should be in this team. Clearly. It's true. India would never not play Anil Kumble, exactly. There's something really wrong there. Shardul Thakur, a useful inclusion, but I do think Ashwin should have got the nod. And this early onslaught that we saw that I think Shardul Thakur only took the one wicket. that of Labuschagne, if I'm not wrong. And of course, the wicket of, I'm not going back, look at this, Mr. Shami also took the, let's have a look at the live scoreboard. There we go. Usman Khawaja would be a little bit disappointed because he got out first ball, not first ball, but for a duck, I should say. And that was a very unfortunate sort of circumstances there for good old Usman Khawaja. He's somebody who really has been a mainstay of the performances this last period of time. So let's have a look at the full scorecard as we speak. David Warner, well, in fact, Usman Khawaja was the first one out. He was caught by the keeper Barrett off the bowling of Siraj, as I said earlier. Shami was up. He actually got Labuschagne, not Thakur. Labuschagne was. I'll go through the full wicket taking for us, so I won't get this mucked up. Usman Khawaja was out. Caught Barrett, bowled Mohammad Siraj for a duck. He lasted some 10 balls, and he didn't look settled at all. Then Warner and Labuschagne came together. Warner, in fact, fought pretty hard. Scored 8 fours in his 43 before being caught off a leg side touch by Barrett off the bowling of Sajid Thakur. So Thakur did prove some worth. Mohammad Shami certainly bowled well as well. He ended up getting Marnus Labuschagne bowled for 26. So effectively at that stage, Australia were 3 for 76 after some 24 overs and not looking all that flash, or looking like they were in a bit of trouble then. There was still more wickets to come. But in fact, no more wickets fell from the 24th over until the 85th, the end of the day's play. Some 60, almost 61 overs of batting with Labuschagne out then. But then, of course, Smith came in. He was not out. 95 with 14 fours, and Travis Head. 146 of 156 deliveries, a very good run rate for a test match, 22 fours and a 6, 146 not out with some 17 sundries. So still got Cameron Green to bat, Carey, and then the bowlers. So Australia at 3 for 327 should try and press on. I mean, I don't think 600 is realistic, but I think they could well get close to 500. They keep the way they're going. And that would be a killer first innings total for India to try and match. But if the pitch is a flat track somewhat, we'll see how Kohli, Sharma, Gill, Pujara and Rahane take their roles on. So Munchie's saying, thank you, India, for getting the Aussie batsmen into form for the Ashes. Well, that's his sarcastic way of saying that they've put them in form. But look, obviously England, Munchie, as you know, with the likes of Duckett and Pope, and obviously Harry Brooks still doing well as well, they're pretty much in form as well. So there is a question around whether Ben Stokes is in fact fit, but I think he is. I think he didn't bowl or keep or field too much in that test match against Ireland because he didn't have to. They beat them comprehensively. So, okay. So Medium Johnson, you're saying Australia will look at getting a total of 550. Well, you'd think that's what they should be getting, yes. Munchie's also said hopefully the Indian batsmen can grind the Aussie bowlers into the ground. Well, they're going to get out their first Munchie and bat. At 3 for 327, there's a lot of batting still left in this Australian side, and I think Steve Smith is hungry for a bigger than 95 run score, and Travis Head's already 146 for God's sake. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but they've got to stick to their guns. This match is not over yet. It's still a long way to go. Australia's in the ascendancy at the moment, but you can't help but think that a twist and a turn will take place at some stage or another. People asking whether I'm in the UK for the World Test Championship. I'm not. And it's a long story, which I won't get into, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so Couple Verma says Aussies hasn't won the Ashes in England since 2001. This time they will win. No, I don't think so, Couple Verma. I don't think that they're that convincing. Munchie says it's warm and sunny here again today. Great day for batting. So Munchie, are you actually going to the game today? I don't know whether you are. Maybe you should. Dinesh Chowdhury says this Aussies might turn out to be the greatest series of all time. This Ashes series, maybe. I think it'll be a great series. I do. I don't think Australia are that certain of any victory here. Admittedly, Travis and the Seekers have done very well so far. Let's see whether they can continue going on for the next 5 test matches, which go in the Ashes. Of course, June 16th, which is only that's only just over a week away, is when the first test actually starts the Ashes. So This match finishes, or planned to finish, on the 11th of June, which is the day after my birthday, by the way. That means from the 11th, they'll go straight in with 5 days to spare the first test match, and that will be a cracker. Then the second test match, which will be at, of course, Lords on June 28th, 29th, 30th, and then 1st and 2nd of July, which I'm hoping to attend, by the way. I'd love to be able to attend that. That will be at Lords, the second test, so I'll be there from then on. Who will be Australia's Red Bull openers after Warner and Khawaja? Arrow is best to say. Well, Khawaja's got probably a bit of a way to go. We know that Warner's retiring practically the SCG in January of next year, with a few ODIs and T20s going on in 24. I don't think they've settled that at all. Honestly, I think there's a long way before we know who's going to open. It won't be Travis Head. Will it be someone of the likes of gee, that's a hard question. Marcus Harris, it won't be. I think there's a question mark over the next opening spot. Renshaw, Medium Johnson saying he could well be with a great chance. Marcus Harris, no, I don't think so. Sorry, Norman, bat behind you. Who signed in that bat? That one there is signed by Curtly Ambrose, Andy Roberts, I think Winston Benjamin, Wes Hall have all signed that one. One of the fast out of reach at the moment is signed by Viv Richards. We've got the one behind me there is signed by Bradman. It's worth a bit of money. And on my far side here, we've got just there we got Morley and Shane Warne, and the South football team behind me. Bancroft and Head will make a good pair. No, they won't in this charter. I don't agree at all. That won't happen. It won't be Bancroft and Head opening. I'm certain of that, in my opinion. Tim Ward and Henry Hunt are very good. Tim Ward, I don't know a great deal about. Arthur's best, I must say. In the case of Henry Hunt, well, he's done okay, yes. But hang on, before we start talking about who's going to open the batting for Australia next year, at the moment, Warner and Khawaja are there. And Warner got a very commendable 43 on 60 balls. It was quite a competent performance considering the conditions. And of course, Khawaja only faced 10 balls and was out for a duck. Laberstein's 26 was hard fought without a lot of balls hitting on the hand. But yeah, my God, Steve Smith, who's batted much more steadily with his 95 off 227, has allowed Travis Head to flourish. 146 off 156 balls. That's amazing. So what's amazing? Arrow the best. Head is good at 5, not an opening and red balls. I agree. I think I've said that all the way along. I did not even decide at all, to be really honest, but he's unfortunately belted the door down now, and he's without doubt going to stay for a while. I was impressed with Warner's 43. A lucky strangle down the leg side, to strangle down the leg side. It's correct. Medium Johnson, it was a difficult dismissal to get out on. He was batting with a lot of grittiness. Absolutely. Now, David Graveney, of course, the former chairman of the selectors, is meant to be joining at some stage in the next 15 minutes. I was meant to start now, actually, at 6:45 my time, 2 minutes away. But so I've started a bit earlier. But we're going to bring David Graveney on at around 15 minutes time. We'll have David Graveney on for a while. He's between jobs. He's working hard. He doesn't seem to be in a job though. All right, the other, I was hoping to get a partner on. I'm going to see whether a partner's coming on. A partner did promise. A partner is actually in Delhi, in India at the moment. He's not in Australia. I'm just going to see whether the partner is going to join. Let's give her a quick call. Sorry to hear that your match at the SCG is not having I'm very upset with that, Munchie. Yeah, they didn't get enough numbers. Simple as that. The SCG 11 tour against the MCC didn't eventuate because of lack of numbers. So that's unfortunate. But Munchie, I'm going to still be there for the Lord's Test, so we can get together. Munchie, you'll get together with me. Maybe Simon Willis, although Simon Willis is in Hong Kong these days as the head coach of Hong Kong. But we'll have Chris Vernon and good old Richard Vernon will be there, Munchie, You will be able to join. We'll have David Graveney, and I'll get a few other guests in, some other notables. Maybe Monty will have some time with us, and we'll be able to carry on with it. Even maybe Parler might be there. You don't know. Warner and Uzi are too defensive at times. Warner certainly isn't too defensive, and Uzi's a great batter, so I'd be quite careful there. They're both done very well. Sonu, do you watch football or other sports or anything? Yeah, I watch other sports, Sonu. Absolutely. There's the FA Cup final, there's the French Open tennis, there's the US Open golf coming up, there's a whole host of other soccer matches around the world, rugby league. My team, South Sydney, play on my birthday on Saturday, June 10th. I will be at Cogra Jubilee Oval to watch them play against the St George Dragons. Munchie saying, yes, yeah, been talking to the lads about coming up to the smoke. You mean the smoke, the big smoke. All right. Probably no tickets to the game, but we'll catch up in London. Munchie, if you want tickets to the Lords, I'll sort that out. I'm pretty sure I'll get my hands on them. So we'll get that sorted. Now that I know you want to come, Munchie, I'll be able to see what I can do there. But Munchie, it's good to have you. Pity you can't come live, Munchie. It would be good to have you there. But yeah, look, the match yesterday, I didn't expect Australia to be 3 for 327, to be honest with you. I thought they were going to struggle to get more than a 200 odd because of the way they started. At 3 for 76, all batters were struggling, even though Warner did get 43. They were struggling at that point. Smith and Head were able to ground out a partnership that led to Head just taking over with 22 fours. 146 not out. He certainly has catapulted this innings into a stratosphere that I wasn't expecting. Tammy Chani, hi Norman, what's up in Australia, mate? What's up in Australia? Well, Australia's pretty cool these days. Not much really happening. It's we're waiting for summer. But I will be in England and India, and I'll be in Africa as well. I'll be all over the place. I love football, but unfortunately our country is not the part of the FIFA World Cup. Well, that's true. But give it time, it'll happen, I'm pretty sure. Prince says, how do you think the match is going? Which team's way? Well, at the moment, it's Australia's way. But India take a few quick wickets, restrict Australia to a 400 lead, and bat really, really, really well. You never know. This match could turn around pretty quickly. Norman on tour 23. Yes, I am. I'm going to be going to my 2023 tour. Will be maybe a quick stint in England. Watch the Ashes Test match at Lords. I'm going to be going to Africa. I expect to be in Kenya, South Africa, and other parts of Africa. I'm also looking at going to, I want to fit Central America as well, but of course India, there's going to be the World Cup there in October, November. I'm spending a bit of time there. So yeah, I'm heading off for 6 months plus of mad travel. No, David Warner is not done yet. He is a beast. Yeah, look, I've got no doubt he is. I'm pretty sure you're right. Can any come back in this test? Prince is asking. It's looking like it's going to be a struggle, but yes, they can come back. Australia are 3 for 327. That is a magnificent scoreline with Smith and Head on large scores, but they could fall both very quickly this morning, England time, and that could see a bit of a collapse, and you could see Australia lap for 400. Munchie's saying awesome. I'm guessing you're saying awesome at my trip. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be 6 months, probably as far as 12 months of crazy travel. Not unlike what I did in 2019. The pitch looks a beauty. It does, Charlie. It is a beauty. It's flattened out nice, but it was green. And Munchie, you're not saying that, but the ground was green as. The pitch was green as. There was a fair bit of movement. It was fairly overcast. It was a good bowling start. They did take 3 wickets, but they didn't go on with it, unfortunately, which is very, very unfortunate because they're looking pretty scary now, 3 for 327. Anything above 450 is going to be very tough for India. That's true. If Australia get more than 450, it's the 500 mark, it'll be a tall order for India to come back. And drawing is not what India needs to do because they need to win this match because Australia finished higher, and that tells you that Australia will be the team to win if there is a draw. Google shows Rashid Khan is 24 years old. Do you think that he's 24 years old? Rashid Khan does look a bit old now, I must say, but yeah, it's hard to judge age with Afghanis and Pakistanis. They tend not to have their birth certificates correct most of the time. So that's all right. He's still, if he's that young, he's got a long career to go, and boy, is he really impressive. Okay, so again, I'll just have a recap of the match yesterday. Australia in some 85 overs at a run rate of 3.84, so very commendable pace, close to 4 and over. Australia were 3 wickets down for 327, with Warner and Khawaja opening up. Khawaja out for Jakoff's on 10 deliveries, caught Barrett, bowled on Mohammad Shah Siraj of a ball that was left-handed nick. The keeper was a good ball, with Warner then departing on 43, caught down the leg side by the keeper Barrett off Thakur, and then Labuschagne went about 2 or 3 overs later. He was bowled by Shami for 26, and at that point it looked like India had the ascendancy. So we've got 2 comments here. Tomo says, I think India fell into a trap looking at the green pitch. Ashwin would have been a wicket-taking option given the number of left-handers in the Australian team. I totally agree. Munchie, what do you got to say? Remember what we say in England, look up, not down. Yes, the forecast was for fine weather. I would still question the toss decision. Sounds like Nasser saying in Brisbane. It's true. But yeah, look, like Australians will always argue you bat first. Do you think India have picked the best 11? Okay, Prince, that's a very good question. They've gone with Shardul Thakur because of this extra pace option, and he can bat as well. Not necessarily a bad option, but let's be honest. You'd have to argue that they probably made a mistake and they should have played Ashwin. Why? It may not appear to be a spinner's wicket, but he is an X factor that no team can leave out, and I think they've made that mistake. Batting-wise, we'll wait and see whether India have done well with their selections. The big one, of course, that really concerns me is Rahane. Is he worthy of being back in the side? We haven't got Shreyas Iyer there. Sky was, I'm not sure whether he's injured, he's not in the squad. Ishaq Sharma was there. We had Jaswal there as well in the backup. Mayank Agarwal seems to be, he's disappeared. So, yeah, is Rohit still batting well enough to be worthy of being open? He hasn't batted well for some time, so I've got my doubts. Yeah, I think the Indian side, the main decision-making process, which was a mistake potentially, is the Ashwin non-selection. I've got a lot of information this way. Oh, opinion time. There's a opinion time question here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Rohit Sharma's captaincy in the first day of play? I do argue that Kohli was a better captain, if I'm being honest. Very aggressive, very well-meaning player. That would be one thing that I think the captaincy of Sharma. He's a great player, but has always been a great player. Captains always did very well for Mumbai Indians, but one day is different, or T20 is different to Test cricket. Not as strong as I would like him to. India played Rahane, it was good, but they left out Ashwin. It was the worst decision. True. What is the temperature in Australia? At the moment, it's only a matter of what temperature is it here. I can tell you if you want. Hang on. Temperature. Clock. Calendar. Weather. I can't say weather. Weather isn't. It's only 18 degrees Celsius. It's only 17. It's pretty cool here. You're feeling cold. It's too hot here in India. Well, I've got the heater on, by the way, so I am a bit cool. To me, it is a bit cool here. I believe Rahane is better captain than Rohit in tests. Kapil Vermal, Rahane has to be able to solidify his spot first before he can be considered as captain. And of course, we do remember in the test series in Australia, when Kohli went home, Rahane was the vice captain and did captain the last part of that series, and they ended up winning. And you got to give credit to Rahane, with Kohli in the background helping as well. So yeah, that was interesting. Okay, so we've still got about half an hour before play starts. We're waiting on David Gravely coming. I mean, Parnasani said she would come from of all places, India, from Delhi in India. But Baramarani, who's normally a regular, wanted to come to an afternoon show, but I unfortunately couldn't make an afternoon time slot. Just looking up some other indications here. But yeah, Australia, thanks to Head and Smith, they both together put close to 250 on, and their partnership was in fact 251. A 251 run partnership between those two. In fact, most of the runs of both their batting forms came in their partnership. So very impressive indeed. Kapil Verma says, had India in the place of Aussies and lost early wickets, then they would have been a loss of momentum, would have been down. Okay. Ultimately, India are in the position they're in now. Australia have done well. It's now India's turn. Hopefully sometime early today, but it might be later today that India will bat. And in that case, they'll have to bat long. But they can't afford a draw. They need to go for a win because a draw will play into the hands of Australia, who are, I believe, on better points in the table. Thanoon V says day one belongs to Australia. It certainly does, especially the second two sessions, like last and second last session. You would have to definitely argue Australia in the ascendancy in that. With a score of 3 for 327 and 3 for 76, things were looking a little bit dodgy. But yeah, looking at the bowling figures, we'll have a look there. Shardul Thakur was 1 for 75 of 18. So Mohammad Shami, 20 overs, 1 for 77. Mohammad Siraj, 19 for 1 for 67. Umesh Yadav, 14 overs for 54. No wicket for him. I mentioned Shardul Thakur, 18 overs, 1 for 75. And then Ravindra Jadeja bowled 14 overs for 48. So no success with his left arm spin. So another question, not regarding this match. Okay, what should India do to get the momentum back? Let's take wickets early on to start with. What total will be good for us to declare all those players? I don't think they'll play the 10 wickets out, to be honest. I'll get as many runs as they possibly can and let the innings fall. Path Singh, if India restricts below 420, it will be a good match as India has some stroke players. Yes, it certainly would. For anything below 420, 400, if they can do that, it's a great comeback by India and will put them in a good position to be able to take some ascendancy on day two if they bat well. But Travis Head's 146 off 156 deliveries with 22 fours and 1 6 is going to be a hard innings to match. But Gill in form. Sharma, not so. But Pujara and Rahane, if they bat to their best ability in terms of Test cricket, are capable of big scores. And the enigmatic Virat Kohli, who knows what he can do if he gets his act together. So, yeah, look, India have got the firepower to do it. They've also got Jadeja who can bat, Thakur who can bat as well. Bharat is pretty competent. So, yeah, with half an hour to go before the game's played, and it's sunny and bright, we're going to play on time. Path Singh surely, Australia is surely looked to bat once as Green, Starkey, and Carey to come 600 is probably possible. Yeah, well, it is possible. But I don't think India will let them get 600. I think there'll be a bit of better bowling at the beginning of day two than there was in day one. India got a few tricks up their sleeve, namely Jadeja. And I think 600 will be an amazing result for Australia, but it will mean that these two have to kick on quite a bit. That is Smith and Head, because once those two are gone, Cam Green and the keeper Carey only have the bowlers to employ to start. Cummins, Lyon, and Bowler pretty ineffectual, and Carey has not been in wonderful form. Cam Green certainly has. Did India the wrong thing by taking the ball on day one? You could argue yes, because new ball day bowlers will be fresh and will have overcast so ball will swing. Yeah, well, it was overcast, but they did take 3 wickets, but they probably needed to take 4 or 5 to make it worthwhile. Munchie, as I missed the preview yesterday, was the lack of practice by India aside Pujara mentioned? Yes, we did talk about that, but that applies to Australia as well. I think Labuschagne's been there for a while. He looked solid, but didn't do that well. Warner and the likes of a few players were actually in India, including Steve Smith, I remember. No, Smith played a bit of county. But yeah, county's relevant, but I don't think it's the be all and end all. They weren't, I mean, in England's case, they played a test match against Ireland at Lords, and Duckett and Pope got their Guernseys. But lack of practice, it works for both sides, I would argue. I don't think he can really say that it was for India more than against India more than Australia at all, Munshi. But yeah, lack of practice wasn't really the focus, although we did mention it, I'm sure we did. It wasn't the focus of the discussion because really both teams were pretty even keel. When India played New Zealand two odd years ago with the then World Test Championship, New Zealand had the luxury of playing 2 tests against England, and New Zealand were able to get a fair bit of practice up when they played that match. That is the World Test Championship. Okay. With the sun out at the Oval, just give the first hour to bowlers and utilise the next 5 or 6 on a batting paradise. Yeah, my previous comment, Capital Burma wants me to look at. What's your previous comment? Players are fined for their bad conduct and captains for slow over rates. Likewise, umpires should be fined for their continuous wrong decision that affects the course of the match. Capital Burma, that would be a big ask for us to start to fine umpires. Umpires have got a pretty hard wicket as it is. We might find not many umpires want to do the job because they can be fined every single game if that's the case. Munchie says the weather was also shocking. The weather was also shocking bad then, very much in favour of the Kiwis. In that previous World Test, yes, it was. It's gloomy, very much, New Zealand type England conditions. You're right. This time around, it's not. But look, we haven't seen India bat yet, so I'm going to hold back from actually saying that. India are in the second place seat. I think if they bat well, they can certainly level the ledger there. If they get wickets early and they get Australia for 420 or thereabouts or less, and then they go in the bat and they score a pile of runs, it could bring it right back to the fold and make it a very interesting end of the match if they had someone like Ashwin. I'm here at the Oval. There is no wind, no breeze. It will be a hard 12 for seamers today. Okay. That doesn't sound good. It's me again. It's an unusual name. Do you reckon it's a flat track? It didn't look so flat yesterday. The runs were coming in plenty. Okay. Well, it wasn't green tinge to it when I first started the day's play. It was overcast and there were swings, so it favoured the bowlers. But as the day wore down, and you had more sun, the pitch seemed to flatten out somewhat, and it certainly led to Australia scoring a lot of runs. But that will be the same for India. I think that you'll find Australia's bowling attack won't be as penetrative either. I'm not knocking Indian bowlers. I thought Siraj and Shami bowled particularly well and got a little bit of luck, not too much. Shardul Thakur was solid. Mashada was a bit here or there, but he was all right. Jadeja did a job but didn't do it brilliantly. He needed his helpful hand of Ashwin, which he didn't have. Sanjeev Kumar saying Australia with a love heart. Good on you. Keeping in mind Australian bowlers are tall. They will get natural bounce from the pitch, which will be troublesome for Indian batters. Well, yes, considering how much bounce Siraj and Shami got, yeah, you would agree. I would agree with that. There's been an appointment made for England's men's scouting team, which is like their selection process. The England team has got James Foster, which has got Oish Shah to the England men's scouting team, which David Gravy might be able to comment on when he comes on because he would know these guys pretty well. He's been really one of the former scouts himself. So James Foster, Richard Scott, and Oish Shah have been included for the men's scouting team, which is effectively looking for young talent. Sanjeev Kumar says this match will be a draw. I tell you what, India will hope it won't be. They'll want a win, and if it means considering a loss to do that, they want to win this because that's the only way they're going to win the championship, make it worthwhile for them. So Mohammad Shami bowled 20 overs, Siraj 19, Umar Shah 14, Thakur 18 and Jadeja 14. So all bowlers got a fair hit out. 20 overs from Mohammad Shami was pretty much a lot. Even Tuckles, 18 and Siraj 19. Musharraf Ali bowled 14, which comparatively is rather a little bit below the numbers. Jadeja will come off from spin bowled much later on. Was steady without being too flash. But any slight favouring for a spinner, that he would extract something out of that. To Cheswell Pujara doesn't bowl at this level. Okay. I'm just trying to look at what we've got in terms of starting time. It's gone 7:05. David Gravely should be here any minute now. He's basically said that he would come. We haven't had a big day out of. People aren't as probably as excited about this match second day round. First day round, they were very excited. A lot of anticipation with India. Very hopeful. But after being hit towards the end of the day for 3-2-7, Indian fans will be slightly demoralised at the moment. Being a cricket fan, I want players to go for a win. Yeah, they will. The 2 years hard work resulting in a draw will be injustice to the game. It will be. It doesn't deserve to be a draw. Indian bowlers didn't bowl enough bounces. My thoughts on that. Or our thoughts on that. Yeah, those bowls are a pretty good bouncer. So there's Siraj. Well, I don't know whether that necessarily would have been anything to get too excited about. I don't think that's the reason why they put the bowl more bounces. Yes, they didn't. I don't think that was lost. They bowled some very good line length bowling. Beat the bat quite considerably, and Warner Quads Labuschagne felt the brunt of it. Smith and Head were lucky enough to not be there at that time. Will Travis Head replace Warner once he retires? Well, he can't replace Warner when he's already in the side. Warner will probably not be replaced by Head at the opening and batting. No, I don't think so. He'll play middle order, in my opinion, and will stay there. Because there's we've got some 24 minutes before the match is restarting. I'm not sure where David Gravely is. I'm live on YouTube. The panel's not coming. I don't know what David Gravely is. David Gravely normally comes when he says it's now gone 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock in the morning in England. It's 10:07. And it's 7:07 p.m. here. Parth Singh. If it is so, India doesn't have much faith in their batting. If it wasn't so, the Ashwin would have played instead of Jadeja, or both of them could have played. Well, they probably both should have played. I would argue. Yeah, I was telling somebody, trying to I'm getting asked about some things. All right. Okay, we're not hearing any reports. There's been no commentary. Let's see the commentary here. We are getting a morning everyone discussion. A bright sunny morning to be precise. Blue skies, no sign of cloud anywhere. It's the ideal conditions to bat in. You'd think for Travis Head and Smith to continue piling the agony on India. It's kind of the comments going around. Ravi Kumar Naidu says 2 spinners would have been better as pitch is dry, line with Murphy. Well, that's it, Ravi. If you think that way about the Australian side, then even more credit should go to Ashwin playing with Jadeja. Todd Murphy would have been useful if that's the way they go, but they seem to be both teams convinced that it's a 4-pace bowling attack needed. What else does I say? We begin the day 2 of the World Test Championship final with Australia in third command, correct? But India will believe that a couple of early wickets will bring them back into the contest. And I believe so too. They're still with a chance. While we built up the start of play, the tantalising comparison of Adam Gilchrist to Travis Head is a wrong one. I shouldn't be doing that. It's not the case. It's way different. Am I Norman? So how many runs will Australia score today? I'm going to say 450. I reckon 450. Manu John is asking, wickets must start timing today. You're right. Should be starting very early. Otherwise, they'll be in deep trouble. It's a great question there. Did Sri Lanka ever drop Murali? Don't think they did. Did Australia ever drop Warner? Well, they did drop Warner on occasions, but for other reasons perhaps. But dropping Ashwin, he's dropped or not. It's the word that he's dropped. To me, to say a person is dropped implies they're not in form and they're not good enough to be in the team. Well, in Ashwin's case, he's more than good enough to be in the team, but he wasn't a horses for courses selection. So he wasn't dropped, he was left out. Maybe that's the way of putting it. But Australia plays hard today also that we expect 500 plus. Look, Manu John, I mean, they can go 550, 600. If these two keep going, of course they could. But I reckon there'll be a twist in this game. Sanjeev Kumar was number one bowler. Ashwin will be a drop. Well, I'm still not calling it dropped. I'm calling it left out because he wasn't appropriate for the wicket, which doesn't really make much sense because he's proven too many times he can take wickets on any wicket at any time, and I don't get that at all. We've got some 25 or 20 minutes before, in fact 19 minutes before the game restarts. The one had a grab yesterday, which was wasted. Well, he had to struggle, and he did keep both Head and Smith away from the moving ball. So I take my hat off to what Warner did. That is pretty good. I reckon India are behind in the game. Clearly they are, but and that the case, best case scenario today is they take down Australia at 700, which will be 427. Well, that's a big call, isn't it? If they're 7 for 100, the last 7 wickets fall for 100, 427. It means Australia had been, India dominated in the early part of the day too. If that's the case, and first scoring it, then but putting a suitable lead will be hectic talk. If India can get them like for 427 or less, go into bat and be 1 or 2 down in the day's play, they're clearly returned serve, and the match will be in with a great chance of producing a result their way. Ravi Kumar Naidu, India will score better as well as India batting is strong. Even Australia score 5, no guarantee the win. Okay, yeah, I can see India batting well too. Yes, but all it means is a lot of time has been taken up by this, and that could be a different story altogether. Really, this is day 1 finished. Australia bat any more than T today, so we'll be in their sentence. Let's be honest. Don't forget, India chose to field, chose to bowl. Didn't choose to field, chose to bowl. And in doing so, put themselves in a pretty good situation. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. No, David Gravity, I'm assuming he's been delayed. India will score better as well. India batting is strong. Okay, they are. Cummins must take Nick's suggestion from Smith to keep match tight. You're right. Smith will be asked a lot of questions by Cummins will ask a lot of questions. That is David Gravity. David.
Norman, I'm glad we were both right then around team selection and what you should do with the toss.
Well, I had Munchie on for a while, not live, but on the messaging, and he's completely gobsmacked that he didn't watch the toss and was gobsmacked that Sharma would win the toss and bowl.
Well, once he didn't select Ashwin, he didn't have too many options, really. That's what he had to do. So, but as I've said to you, without wishing to be boring, in England you look up, not down. So, and they hadn't actually done their research. The overhead conditions that have affected the whole of the country tend to burn away pretty quickly, and it became a very sunny, no clouds, and no change in the atmosphere. So it was well, it means that they're very much behind the eight ball now. So what has to happen, Norman? Does somebody have to win outright, or what happens if it ends up being a draw?
I think based on the way the table was finished, Australia will win because they finished higher on the table. A draw, it has to be a complete outright victory by either side. And if it's a draw, Australia will default as the World Test champions.
Right. Which is a remarkable recovery from when we were talking about 3 months ago, when they had a certain amount of results had to go there in their direction, which is great. And I certainly believe in terms of for Travis Head, fantastic innings. However, if I was an England fast bowler, I would be very excited by the way he was not playing the short pitch bowling. Really. So I think he might get tested out. And he got tested out by spin as well. Jadeja got it past his bat or either side of the bat and could have easily got him out. Anyway, the game's played by humans, not by robots, so you can make mistakes.
Look, the score was very flattering for Australia at 3 for 327. They could well lose many wickets this morning. Who knows? But Travis Head has somewhat shocked me, to be honest with you. He has really turned the game around since he went in the bat. He's single. I mean, we've got Steve Smith on 95 not out, but I do think it's Head that's led the charge. And from a position of 3 for 71, with the ball moving around quite a bit, they have done remarkably well.
Yeah, he's played really well, but he's playing the modern way. He's scoring virtually a run a ball for most of his innings, which I think is just the way that people play. So, but he'll give you a chance. But he is an aggressive player, which is the modern player. So, Steve Smith actually complimented Travis Head, but it was a strange innings. He's a very strange batsman, Steve Smith. Well, he gets himself in some extraordinary positions. But he loves batting at the Oval, and the Oval, Norman, is a really quick scoring ground, square of the wicket. The squares that you have in England, as opposed to Australia, where it's a drop in wicket, the squares are really lightning fast when it goes square of the wicket. So I'm not surprised.
Well, it goes all the way to the boundary almost, doesn't it?
Yeah, the Oval it does certainly. So
okay. Do you think India got any hope at all in this match?
Well, they have to, I think, to be through some of the batting. They're not going to bowl everybody out by lunchtime, but they certainly need to make inroads and get at somehow one of the bowlers being at one end. They've got the second new ball, and you're right. The ball did move around. They played and missed, and they know that the short ball would be good against Travis Head, but it's got to be done subtly for me. Sometimes when people get the sort of, we've got to bowl short balls, every ball's a short ball, and they've got people set back. It's got to be a surprise ball more than anything else. So, India have always got a chance. 5 days, that's the beauty of Test match cricket. Australia dominated, won 3 sessions. They could lose the next 2 sessions, and India could be batting by the end of the second session.
That's true. And look, India know they have to win, so they can afford to take a lot of risks because there's nothing to lose if they take the risks.
That again makes the team selection hard to understand. That you actually needed to cover as many bases as possible. If the wicket, nobody knows when a wicket's genuinely going to spin unless it starts with not a blade of grass on. But the comments of Ricky Ponting were quite erudite in terms of, there's grass, but it's dry underneath. And he felt that actually sometimes it spins off dry grass, actually. The ball can grip. So I think not having Ashwin there is and as the point he made, there's 3 left-handers in the top 5. So yeah, that may go down as not a catastrophic mistake, just a mistake that will make things hard to do moving forward.
I think it's psychologically a mistake to me because, again, if you have a Sri Lankan team and leave out Murali because they claim it not to be his conditions, or if you have an Australian team leaving out Warner because you claim the conditions not to be right, you'd be, in both those cases, they wouldn't have been not picked because they're such an important cog and they were leading
But
bowlers in the
the
time.
only time I've seen it happen was when Sri Lanka won for the first time in the UK, when Murali took 14 wickets in the match, and I think we just beaten South Africa in a really close series, and we're due to go to Australia, and whatever observations, not directly at the groundsman, was to say that, obviously Murali is an exceptional bowler. Be helpful if we didn't make it suitable for him. As it transpired, the wicket was absolutely tailor-made for Murali, and Ranatunga put England in, or sorry, he didn't bat first. He put England in because he wanted to not have Murali bowling sort of in a follow-on situation. He wanted to break up his spells. So that's the only time I haven't seen it. And actually, if you look at the scorecard, we got 350 and we lost easily. Because once Murali started to weave his magic, and it hadn't been seen in this country, it was just a procession, basically. But that's the only time I've seen it at the Oval. It's got
So on that basis, it is kind of a shock, even despite all the logic that we had no Ashwin in this test. Now, I did see a report which I wanted to ask you about from England and Wales Cricket Board about some people who have been chosen to be like selectors, namely, is it James Taylor?
Yeah.
And two others. I think it was always Shah as well.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I haven't seen the article, but I think what they were trying to do is to, I suppose it's a different terminology, Norman, for a network of people out there looking at cricket.
So not James. I'll get the names right. Sorry, I made a mistake. James Foster, Richard Scott, and Always Shah.
Yeah. So they're out there looking. They're not at the present stage engaged in full-time employment, so they've got time on their hands to be able to go and watch cricket and feed back to Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes, which is, it can be any sort of network. And the network that I tended to operate with was people that I played against, because I became a selector very soon after I'd finished. So I knew the captains, directors of cricket, and no one is stupid enough, and I'm sure Bailey for Australia is the same. He won't think that he knows all the answers, so he'll get out there, and there are people who he can trust or understand what they say about Australian players, and he will dissect it and then feed it into the computer, and then we go from there.
But when they call them these three gentlemen, namely James Foster, Richard Scott, and Noah Shah, as a scouting team,
yeah,
it doesn't sit well with me for some reason.
Well, I think by calling them scouts, Norman, you make it very clear they're not selectors.
Right. Okay. That's the differentiation.
That's what they're trying to differentiate. They want eyes and ears, watching as much cricket as possible, as frequently as possible, and we have that system of scouts all the way down to England under 19s. So we split the country up, and cricket, Norman, is a very difficult thing to watch. I can remember travelling miles and miles and miles to watch a batsman, and his poles got flattened all the time. As it happens now, there's a lot more on platforms, on computer platforms, that you can actually watch ball by ball. So you actually could select still sitting like you are where you are, and me sitting at home. So it wouldn't be a problem to do it that way.
Now, there's a comment here from Dave Warner's made comments today. I'll read out what he said on an interview a short while ago about the pitch conditions, about the conditions. He said it was a little bit dry I marked a few scuffs yesterday around the crease line, and it was quite dry. We saw a bit of variable bounce, as well as specifically bowling from the changing room end. Hopefully, we can beat that deep today. Look past 500, maybe bowl this afternoon after tea. So he's talking about the dryness, which certainly does talk then about spin to me.
Yeah. So I think that Australia are happy with the makeup of their team. That Nathan Lyon is you know if you're leaving Ashwin out, you're leaving a bloke who's got a considerable amount of Test match wickets, who has a track record of winning games for India. Now, some of the other spinners that Australia have at their disposal are starting their careers, and I'm sure they will have successful times, but they're not as potent as Ravi Ashton is in terms of taking wickets.
No way. There was also discussion around the Bharat from the keeper said there was an element that he said that had rode his luck when he batted. Now, that's a pretty strong comment, and I would generally agree because head does tend to just flash away, and if it all works, it looks brilliant. But it can also come horribly wrong. Now, yesterday it absolutely went right for him. So,
yeah, I think left-handers can have a tendency to play and miss outside the off stump, and they will say that they're trying to defend, play at the line of their off stump, and balls that go across them, they may have a bit of a nibble. But the most successful left-handers tend to leave and then hit. So, yeah, I would have to say, a couple of short balls that he fended off literally could have gone anywhere. So. But you can't be completely all luck to get the amount of runs he got. So and he did play some fantastic shots, and it wasn't easy. I'm not saying that it was a flat wicket to start with, but if you in any Test match anywhere in time, the first session the ball will do something. It would be a miracle if it didn't. So the batting side, and that's why my admiration for Mark Taylor and the decisions he made were, he put his head on the block because he was an opening batsman, but he knew the damage that Shane Warne could do at the end, so he had to fight through it with the other batsmen to set up a score. And with McGrath and Warne, you didn't need to have too many, but it was still, he was putting his reputation on the line as a batsman, and I thought it was. Inspired is a bit too strong, but it was a break.
But I want to quickly ask a question, David, about we're going to wrap it up soon.
Yeah.
The captaincy of Cummins and the captaincy of Rohit Sharma. Are you convinced those two men should be the captains of their country?
Yeah, I do. I think the acid test, and sadly for Rohit, it's beginning to happen to him. His own form is a bit wobbly at present. He's an absolutely fantastic player, but how it affects, I think the ultimate test of captaincy is how do you captain when you are not in the best possible form. As it happened with Cummins, I think he's still taking wickets. He's had sadly you experienced it, I've experienced it. When you lose your mother, that has a massive impact to you on as an individual. And he seems to have, not necessarily got over it, but he seems to be able to play cricket. I think he's a really good captain, but I think you'll find out there are lots of other people helping him. I think, not secretly, but I think Steve Smith will be an ally to him. So yeah, I would say that because I was a bowling captain. I don't have a problem about a bowler being a captain. Doesn't. As long as somebody can captain a team when you're bowling, so you can focus on what you're doing. Rohit Sharma, he's got lots of, he's got an ex-captain standing at first slip, second slip, and assuming they still get on with each other, then that's fine. So, I think they are young captains, Norman, if that's the right expression, not by age, by experience. So these sort of experiences this summer will make or break. Cummins for a start. So,
well, I mean, the question is Cummins going to be playing? Is he going to play for all? Is he going to play all 6 tests? We talked about this yesterday a bit as well, Because if he doesn't, that falls back to Smith immediately, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think they'll have a mechanism, and they would have already, I think, discussed within the dressing room that if I have to have a break, X will captain, which will be Steve Smith. That's...
All right, the final thing that I wanted to talk about, just not we've talked about it, but Cricket Fever here is asking, if it turns into a draw, who wins then? It'll be Australia that wins, based on...
Yeah, I didn't know the answer, so thank you for pointing that out. That's fine.
Well, Australia on there'll be no further matches, and they will not share the.
No, that's fine. But that it wasn't sort of first innings lead. It wasn't the position in the well, it is the position in the table, which is the right way it should be. If number one plays number two, and you can't find a solution, number one should win. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there's no other
I'm
way.
glad that they do that rather than sharing. I can't stand teams sharing. I mean, it's purposeless, quite frankly.
No. I had the only time I've ever disagreed with my Uncle Tom was when he was a man of the match adjudicator, and for some apparent reason, he gave the man of the match to the whole of the Pakistan team.
Oh God!
I said, Tom, you can't do that. You have to pick a winner.
All right, David, we'll get back tomorrow for a preview. I don't think the post reviews are necessary unless something dramatic happens. We won't.
No. As I said to you in the message, I'm here. Just if you need me to speak, just give us a shout. So
it's been so grateful, David. I tried to get a partner on from India. She's actually physically in India. I've asked Adam Hollyoak to come on as well. Jeff Thompson. There's a few percolating to come back on and join us. And of course, their old crowd are going to come back. So we'll build back to where we've always been.
It's a long summer, so don't worry.
Exactly.
Cheers, Norman. I'll see you.
All right, David. Thank you again for your great attention.
No. See you later.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Say goodbye, viewers. It's amazing. David provides an incredibly good insight into cricket. As I told you earlier, there's so-called scouts that have been put in place. He knows them all well, and it's quite interesting. My show. I've just asked Shapali to join us, see whether she'll come and have a bit of a chat. She's always good for a word. All right. We are looking at a situation where the trophy is shared amongst the two teams. I don't think that would be the way to operate. I think the mace will be given to the team that comes first. I will check on that. Doris should have been selected. Yeah, there's no doubt about that at all. All right, guys, the match should be underway. I'm just going to check on the screens, retry. Let's just see what's going on. There's a telecast glitch there.
The Google app, now with more ways to search. Tap the camera icon to find
Google
this cropped blazer.
We'll see what happens here. But yes, of course, Australia are in a massive position as ascendancy. And it's Australia now 3 for 30. In fact, Steve Smith has already gone to his 100. He's on 103. He's just hit a 4 to the boundary. Steve Smith has just gone from 95 to 103 very quickly. Australia now 3 for 336. 3 for 336. Smith has got yet another century. I think that's his 31st century, as a matter of fact. Australia now 3 for 336. Smith hitting 2 quick fours, either 1 and 2 fours, and immediately is into action there within the first 3 balls. Has got 9 runs and is now 103 not out. The 1 run going to Travis Head, and then 8 to Steve Smith. Did not muck around at all. 103. That's his 31st century. Brilliant batting. He wasn't ready there. Yeah, so Travis Head is now 147. He scored a single at the first ball of the over Siraj, and then Smith went on to score 2 fours in quick succession. And Siraj and Smith having a bit of an argy-bargy there. Siraj not happy with the fact that Smith is just need for 2 fours. And the score is now 3 for 336. Smith on 103, Head on 147. Smith has got rid of that century situation with 2 quick fours, the second and third ball of those play. Don't worry, Shimon is there to hit centuries as manager on. But as you can see, Mohammad Siraj, who didn't bowl badly yesterday at all, took the first wicket of Quadra. Always very. I love the way Siraj is so animated. And Sharma's saying it's too high. So Australia 3 for 336. And of course, Steve Smith having scored yet another century, and he's actually pretty close to going past. In fact, he has gone past Gooch. Pretty sure. So we'll check that. Mark Simmons is sending me photos. Mark's is sending me photos of Steve Smith, very happy indeed. He's just scored himself a century. His 31st century at this level. Yeah, pretty impressive. He'd be very happy indeed. So now we'll go with Travis says 150, and it's all happening. Well, it looks there's still a fair bit of movement out there in the middle there. It should not be discounted at all. Very curious as to what we're also showing a bit of AFL, which the Sydney Swans at the SCG. Who cares over that at all? Beautiful vista of the beautiful vista of the Sharmi with his 226 wickets comes on now and 64 matches. It's a very commendable performance. And there's no doubt that this century by Smith is certainly warranted. Mohammad Shami's bowled very well, in my opinion. And Siraj also has bowled very well. Just didn't have as much luck as they probably deserve to have. Smith 100 this morning. Quite an impressive start, really, let's be honest. Shami's still bowling very, very well indeed. So hats off to him. And the panel will join tomorrow. Okay, so the day 2 weather is 21 degrees Celsius, 60 degrees is a bottom, 0 chance of rain, clear as a bell. Looking pretty damn good for Australia's batting, that's for sure. All right, we'll leave you go with the live broadcast. We've been on for an hour and a half. Travis Head will certainly cost, I think Smith will get 100, Manu Johns thinks. Yeah. Well, if he does and Head gets 200, we're in real trouble here, Australia, or at least India are in real trouble. Chris Gaffney is the umpire. Australia 3 for 337. Smith 103 off 232 balls, and Head 140 off 161. Shami 1 for 78 off 20.4. Smith would be particularly happy getting rid of his 100 within 2 shots, 2 fours here to start the day's play. Pretty much in control. A bit of discussion of the pitch. The pitch to me looks quite, it does look good. Good batting pitch, to be honest. All right, guys, we'll talk more perhaps later, if not tomorrow, for the third day's preview. Thanks for joining me this morning. David Gravity joined for a while. Aparna will be there tomorrow. We'll have a bit more to say. Hopefully with India gaining some sort of ascendancy on day 2 to bring it back to even keel. Shami to head. All heads absolutely gone for that. And didn't edge it, but went pretty damn close. All right. So Smith on 104, Head on 148, 3 for 338 after 87 overs. So take care, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.